IVM.
$100. That's all it takes to begin your journey with Bitcoin and Ethereum. No, really. With CoinSwitch, you can start investing in over 100 cryptocurrencies with just 100 rupees. On top of that, there are zero charges for deposits and withdrawals, so you can trade, buy, sell, however and whenever you want. All of this, plus their extremely intuitive interface, makes CoinSwitch the perfect app for beginners in the crypto space. But don't take my word for it. Just download CoinSwitch for free and try it out for yourself. If you'd like more information on cryptocurrencies, tune into a show about crypto with me, Rohan Joshi, my new adventure on IVM podcasts. CoinSwitch, kuch to badlega.
Here's your smart fact of the day. Guess what country actually works the least amount of hours? Now, you might suddenly think of very lazy people you met and stereotype them into the country and then say, country XYZ. But what if I tell you that Germany right now works the least amount of hours per week across all the countries in the globe? Surprising, right? Very, very surprising. Welcome to Smarter with Sid, and today's episode is about, is the 4-day work week a good idea? So now, if you're an employee, you'll say yes and make it 3 days, please, 3 days while we are at it. But we are going to look at this a little deeper, right? Let's figure out, will reducing the work week to 4 days, be a good idea? In fact, is it the new norm post-COVID, right? So that's what we're going to deal with on Smarter with Sid's episode number 14. So first of all, why 5 days to start with? Why 5 days to start with? And this has historical reasons. I think it was 6 days. Sunday was off because it's a Western thing. It's a Western value. Sundays was off because of church and family time. And then Saturdays were chopped off from the work week. And then you had an understanding that you need the weekend and so on and so forth. And obviously, labor laws got better. And I'm not getting into a boring history lesson over here. But today, I guess most of us, especially people who are employees or people who are used to a normal work week, will consider, a 9 to 5 or, certain hours per day and 5 days per week as the normal work week. Now, will reducing the work week to 4 days, be the new norm post-COVID? Is the 4-day work week a good idea? Let's look at what COVID has done. Let's take a few steps back. I mean, COVID has done very interesting things for work. It is obviously the dispersion of the workplace because it is work from home, and that has led a lot of companies to actually change their work policies. Okay, some of them good, some of them bad. Work from home has become reality, and people are now being given the choice of working from home. Another thing COVID has done is that it has created extra focus on two things. One is work-life balance, boss. Work-life balance has come into the picture because COVID has created such an instance of us being afraid of our health that because of that, we have looked at life very seriously and then figured out, is working, worth it, to sacrifice my life on? And work-life balance has come into the picture, and this is post-COVID. Like certainly COVID has accelerated this specific aspect. Sure, work-life balance was being talked about in some ways earlier on, but the speed at which things have been actioned have been too much. I mean, if you look at wellness days, and a lot of companies are doing that, it's a related concept, wellness days. Well, that's a fantastic thing. It goes beyond the Saturday, Sundays that you can get. Wellness days are holidays that you can take, especially if, just for wellness, because just staring into a screen for large amounts of time is not necessarily a good idea, because it's when you work, right? You're traveling, you're meeting up with people, you're having coffees and stuff like that. When you are just staring at a screen, it does lead to fatigue, and those are wellness days. But this is not about wellness days. Let's go back to topic. What are we trying to talk about? We're talking about, is reducing the work week a good idea? I think not just work-life balance, but what has come into focus, and work from home, of course, one more thing has come into focus, and those are outcomes. I think people have begun to actually understand that their value is based on the outcomes that they produce for the company that they work for. Of course, they were always, depicted as key KRAs and all the rest of it, and people kept yaddering on about outcomes. But now, today, because of the new situation, people are now more accepting that, I may not be working exactly like the other guy, but my outcomes might be better off, or my what I'm producing as results are better. It is an interesting thing, and I'm wondering what the senior leadership take on something like this actually is, because outcomes are interesting, and senior leadership will be a little cynical, to be honest, because outcomes have factors outside your control. Like, for example, if you say, oh, meet this sales target or whatever, sure, that's an outcome that is your so-called responsibility, but let's say 60% of that responsibility is connected to factors outside your control. Like, you mean that entire industry might go into a recession, or something else might occur within that particular company that you're trying to get a client on, and there are so many different things that can happen. Some of them you can have mitigation, etc. This is not about that, but outcomes have factors outside your control that senior leadership can be senior leadership can get excuses thrown at them from people who report in, saying, we didn't achieve this because of XYZ reason, because outcomes have external factors that have no control. On the other hand, activities, leadership has control over. So it's a balance, isn't it? I mean, I can control your activities much more than what I can control your outcomes. And that's what senior leadership thinks somewhere subconsciously. Not all senior leadership, to be honest, but obviously, and it also depends upon the amount of control, you want over your people. But senior leadership, I suppose, might be a little cynical than people downstream who might really welcome the 4-day work week. In fact, they found out in Iceland, in government offices in Iceland, that there was no drop in productivity when they reduced the work week from 5 days to 4 days. Now, isn't that interesting? But if you go a little deeper, you might get into something called self-fulfilling prophecy, which means that people actually wanted this to be true. People wanted a 4-day work week, which is why they worked extra hard and made sure that there was no drop in productivity. Now, this is a catch-22 situation, because you come to a place wherein you don't know whether it's a placebo effect or whether it's something which is like a temporary gain, and then people will go down to the new normal and you actually will have 3 days and stuff like that. As an as somebody who's in the gig economy, an entrepreneur, I really am probably more outcome focused than activities focused. But, that's the exception to the rule. Most of us are employees, and most of us are working for other places. And I think the less senior you are, the more you will want the work week to be lesser. And the more senior you are, you're going to get the jitters. And yes, there is a certain amount of self-fulfilling prophecy. And my feeling is that it is going to be culturally driven. For example, Germany, right? Going back to the smart fact that I threw, Germany is a very interesting example. I mean, for people who are known for, Germans are known for their productivity and their efficiency, and they're the people who are working the least. How does that work? My personal view is it works because they don't waste time at all. Germans do not waste time on niceties. They are not, they don't have that whole culture around work. They do their stuff and as efficiently as possible and get the hell out of there. Now, I am stereotyping, but well, German efficiency, we all have heard of it. If you compare and contrast that with Italians, I mean, Italians have this whole, storytelling, narrative telling things, and it's all about long lunches, and everyone talks about everything else without getting to the point in a lot of meetings. And again, I'm stereotyping Italians, but stereotypes are there for a reason, because they become true for a reason as well. Some of it is unfair and some of it is fair. And the reason why I took Germany and Italy is because I wanted to talk of India in the end, right? I don't know whether it will work in India, a 4-day work week, because again, Indians are probably two things. One is I think we are a lot more on the Italian side of the spectrum rather than the German side of the spectrum. And also, I think Indians typically actually like going to the workplace, the younger batch of people. I'm not saying completely Gen Zers or the younger millennials, but the older millennials and maybe even Gen Xers, perhaps leading to senior leadership, like the whole culture of the workplace. Parties are planned around the workplace and outings are planned and relationships form and so many weird messy things happen. But the fact is that Indians actually center their day around work, and there's a sense of accomplishment. It's also connected to where we are standing as an economy. So that's my view. I may be completely wrong and we may change this perspective. As I said, Smarter with Sid takes on a fact which is contemporary, but it may change over a period of time. So we may revisit this topic a little later. But I'm really curious to know what your take would be on this subject. Would you welcome a 4-day work week right now? Do you think it's on the anvil? I'm not so sure. I hope you like this episode of Smarter with Sid. And if you like stuff like this, just go and download the IVM podcast app. It's fantastic. You'll get a lot of really interesting stuff. And hey, if you like me, I'm the Traveling Professor. Follow me on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Until next week then.
Hi everybody, just wanted to ask everyone for a quick favor. We're running a brand survey right now and would really appreciate it if you could let us know what you think about the advertising on IVM. Go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and do let us know. As part of this, we'll be selecting 10 random participants and sending them some IVM swag, so do fill out those surveys. Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Speakeasy, get a glimpse into the startup world, uncover interesting revelations about gaming and healthcare with Vishal Gondal, founder and CEO of Goki, and also host of the Vishal Gondal podcast on the IVM Network. On Aapka Paisa Vaisa, Vikram Shah teaches us how to invest internationally. Aiming for a spot at the Oscars, musician Sahil Bhargav introduces us to his world of animated storytelling on storytellers and storysellers. On Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav has started a new series, The Kashmir Diaries. Here we meet the last rosewater maker of Srinagar. And on The Fighting Goat, the hosts estimate the amount of money spent overall in MMA sports. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any other show for that matter, please do tell a friend. That's really helpful for us. And finally, we'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, Siet Cred, Bank of Baroda, Intuit India, and CoinSwitch Kuber. We really do appreciate the support.
Come learn and experience the ABCDs of being queer with me, Shunetro,
and me, Farhad,
on our show, Gay BCD.
The two of us take you through our stories and experiences of being gay men in the city of Mumbai and have candid
and sometimes downright scandalous
conversations about sexuality, gay culture, and everything in between.
Catch new episodes of Gay BCD every Tuesday on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get all your podcasts from.